What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. This is Lone Wolf, and in this video, we're gonna talk about hunters in 9.1. Okay, right here we got Wildhead, and we're just gonna go over all the changes because at this point, I feel like we will not get any more changes. We're far along enough where it seems like the game is gonna come out soon. Soon. We're at 9.1. And we did get enough changes to, go into the new patch with a completely different mindset and that new legendary. All right. So I want to go over everything, give my thoughts on it all, and see where we go from there. All right. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to go over these changes. And because I see the word covenant, I do want to make a disclaimer. Alright? And the disclaimer is, while the hunter class in general did not receive as many changes as we'd like the class itself, we did get PvP talents. But more importantly, the covenant themselves bring enough changes where it'll make the specs feel differently in one way or another. So while the classes themselves didn't get enough, or not enough, but many changes, the covenants themselves bring enough change to the class to make it feel much more different than it was in 9.0 and 9.0.5. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go. Very, very interesting, all the things that are there, but we'll leave that covenant stuff for another video. All right, so let's continue. So here we go. General hunter changes in 9.1. The first one is Wailing Arrow, and this comes from the legendary bow that we're gonna get from Sylvanas in the new raid. This fills a few niche stuff. It gives us just extra damage, something to press. Especially, this is gonna be much more valuable in two areas of the game, two aspects. So the hunter class changes in 9.1. The first and foremost, in general, is the spell Wailing Arrow. This change itself brings a lot to the hunter class, all right? And we're gonna talk about that. Wailing Arrow comes from the new raid that's coming out. It's a new bow, a legendary bow for hunters, okay? It drops from the last boss, Sylvanas. Now, why is this important? A few reasons. One, it motivates hunters. It motivates people who don't play hunters to play a hunter. It gets us excited, all right? Because this, it just does many things. One, it's a legendary bow, my dude. All right, it's gonna be wonderful that the hunter class itself gets an extra, I would assume at this point, get an extra legendary to use, very powerful, and you get an added ability to your toolkit. Okay, being that this is a hunter specific weapon, I'm pretty sure they're gonna balance everything with the legendary bow in mind, because every hunter is gonna want to go for it, except for survival hunters. Okay, survival hunters, they're melee, so they don't have to use this, but obviously you're gonna see survival hunters trying to get it anyways. Okay, Wailing Arrow itself, the spell, it does wonders for the spec. All right, it's gonna do wonders, especially in PvP, but it adds an extra layer of damage and control when it comes to PvE, because you get to silence targets and AoE silence targets around the main target, and it deals damage, okay, to the target and targets near the target, the main target. It adds a little bit of extra pressure, an extra button to press in your rotation. I don't know how is that going to feel. I haven't been having access to the legendary, and being that I just said that, let's see if we can go, because I definitely want to see if the legendary is in the PTR for me to use. You know how they have it where you can 100% make a legendary or try out legendaries or make a legendary and shit. So we're not gonna be able to use it or test it out as of right now, but very, very massive. Now, just in case you're reading this, it is a silence, it's not a stun. Stun is pretty overpowered. And the marksmanship hunters themselves now have a stun, access to a stun, and there's going to be a stun trinket as well in PvP. So this is a silence, very massive. Let's go on to the next, which is Chimera Shot. I looked into this. I haven't seen anything. There's no tooltip change whatsoever, but this was in the new build that they just introduced, this random change. There is really no change. Usually what this means is that they wanted to change Chimera Shot in some way, but they just put it in there. But it's the change is not in the build itself. It's just like, hey, we're gonna do something on Chimera Shot, and then they're working on it, and then there's gonna be a build that they might change something, and at the same time, this can absolutely mean nothing. Okay, there is no tooltip ever change. Everything is exactly the same. No focus change, no required level change, nothing. All right, so we will keep an eye out to see what's up. All right, so survival hunters in 9.1 got buffed. I do believe they needed a buff, though in PvP, I felt that they were powerful. I just think that they weren't the meta, and the covenants don't really sit well with survival. The one covenant that feels good that people played with was the Venthyr covenant for survival, but in my honest opinion, I feel like the best survival hunter covenant is Necrolords. All right, it fits everything about survival hunters. It'll be interesting to see how the new legendaries or the covenant legendaries and all that stuff appeals to the survival hunter community. They got buffs to flanking strike, raptor strike, kill command. Really, really nice. Not massive, but I'm pretty sure survival hunters are gonna scale in a nice way. We'll see what happens. And Mongoose Bite also got a nice 13% buff to their attack power, kind of making more in line with Raptor Strike. Obviously, Mongoose Bite is a talent, so, and Flanking Strike as well. It's always good to get buffs. All right, so Survival Hunters didn't get many spec specific changes, but honestly, in PvP, I feel that survival is strong. It's just people love to ride the meta wave. They're strong, and this is just gonna make them much more attractive in 9.1. Okay, these buffs, people see buffs, they're gonna love that shit. We'll see what happens. Hunter pet changes, nothing huge, just little things here and there. There's a pet that's gonna be bigger. Trample is now instant, and updraft, new ability. Nothing super crazy or nice, but I'm appreciative they did show some love to the pets. Okay. Hunter conduit changes. This is just a spelling correction. It was called Markman's, and now they changed it to Marksman. Cool. PvP talent changes in 9.1. We did go over some of these in my last video, so check that out if you want to go see a more in-depth video on it. But we're gonna just go and do a quick overview. Tranquilizing darts, interrupting or removing effects with tranquilizing shot and muzzle, releases Interrupting or removing effects with tranquilizing shot and muzzle counter shot releases what? Holy shit. Now, I don't know if this was in the last one, but basically what tranquilizing darts mean, I think I overlooked this. Basically, if you use counter shots, you release 8 darts, which reduces the duration of a beneficial magic effect by 4 seconds. It's just gonna be double the impact. Now, while using tranquilizing dart itself is going to remove a debuff, if you use your counter shot, it'll do the same thing, minus the removing a solid debuff like tranquilizing shot does. It's gonna be huge because you're gonna continue reducing and reducing, removing. That pressure is gonna be strong. This brings hunters in the same wavelength of demon hunters, where demon hunters is all about anti magic in a way. So whenever hunters play against those type of specs, well, tranquilizing shot itself has a 10-second cooldown, and counter shot has a 24-second cooldown. So you're just gonna be, you when you use tranquilizing shots with tranquilizing darts, talented, you remove a buff, and it just reduces everything. Use it again because it's on a 10-second cooldown, and then you'll be able to use counter shot to keep up that pressure of trying to remove buffs, and that's huge. I don't know if I made sense there, but that's cool. It's cool to have that because that's pressure. All right, a lot of specs in the game right now have buffs that are dispellable, that are pretty strong, and hunters having that, like say you don't want to play with a priest. If you play with a priest, obviously you don't need this. If you play with a shaman, obviously you don't need this. Dude, very, very nice. Very attractive. I like it. Let's move on to the next. Chimera Sting. It's pretty attractive. I can't front. Very nice. It deals moderate damage. My character on the PTR has a 212. Deals almost 3,000 damage. All right, so on a 1-minute cooldown. So while providing a utility, it does provide damage. Okay, so it's great as a killer. Say you're about to kill somebody and you don't have your binding shot, and your snare is not doing much. This is like one of those abilities to completely guarantee a kill. All right, massive. This is gonna turn the tide, especially for marksmanship hunters. While Beastmaster and Survival have this, Beastmastery and Survival already have the Mortal Strike. They already have plenty of slows, or at least Survival does. I don't think Chimera Sting is going to be as attractive to Survival as it is to Marksmanship. It will be attractive to Beast Mastery, but it's still huge. It's damage and utility, and the utility is like a rolling 90% reduced movement speed where they're stuck, and then as soon as that finishes, which is like I think 3 seconds, boom, they get silenced for 3 seconds. All right, so if they're trying to run away from you, you stop them. They can't move. You're about to hit them even harder. And if they're trying to do anything after those 3 seconds, they're silenced. They won't be able to. And then the Viper Venom is not as crazy as the first two, but it is helpful. 20% reduced damage and healing for 3 seconds. Very, very nice, especially if you don't have your scatter shot and there's a warrior that has avatar, he popped everything. You can just use this, and they can't move for 3 seconds. And while the silence isn't really that much of a big deal, Viper Venom kind of it helps out. Seems like high explosive shot has some type of change, but I don't see it. Let's see. No, not no big change. And then Wild Kingdom. Wild Kingdom is a very, very attractive beast mastery talent. Survival, very attractive to survival. Call in help from one of your dismissed cunning pets for 10 seconds. Your current pet is dismissed and to rest and heal 30% of maximum health. What this does is for beast masteries and survival, it continues the pressure while also helping your main cunning pet help it survive. Say you don't have exhilaration, he's about to die, and your main pet is not doing enough healing. Wild Kingdom just helps out where your pet is not gonna die. Wild Kingdom instantly makes another pet comes out and it makes your main pet just disappear. So when it comes back, it should have a 30% extra boost in its health. Very, very attractive for those two specs. Marksmanship Hunter, on the other hand, it's gonna be, while it is attractive, pets is just very good in PvP for hunters in general. But for Marksmanship Hunters, you still have the same utility without your pet, and your damage is actually stronger without your pets. Uh, though not having a Master's Call and not having Royal Sacrifices is very detrimental. At the same time, if you play off those weaknesses where you understand what's going on, you can use it to your advantage. Where people are not used to seeing Marksmanship Hunters out doing PvP. All right, not at least not as much as Beast Mastery or Survival. So if you do kill a Marksmanship Hunter pet, that the other team, the enemy team, they still have to worry about your pressure because your pressure is still substantial. It's massive. Your utility, while you don't have a stun like Beast Mastery and Survival, your utility is still the same. You're not gonna lose out on any utility when it in the sense of control and crowd controls and stuff like that. Beast Mastery and Survival, you lose the stun, but Marksmanship Hunters, you don't have a stun with the pet, and you do a lot of damage. Beast Mastery and Survival, you lose your pet, you can't do damage, or you don't do as much damage. Marksmanship Hunters, you do stronger damage without your pet. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that in a separate video on how to control your pet and how to deal damage and keep your pet alive as marksmanship. But again, this talent is, in my opinion, specific to Beast Mastery and Survival. All right, the Beast Mastery Hunter PvP changes, Kindred Beast. That's new. This is huge. Imagine having Master's Call at half. Let's check it out. Let's see what it does. Because it says it has additional benefits. So we definitely want to check that out. Boom! Activated! Alright, so now that I have my Cunning Pet, Master's Call frees nearby enemies or allies, frees nearby allies from movement impairing effects. So when I see nearby allies, I'm thinking about that 8-yard radius. And Master's Call now is on a 23-second cooldown. For Beast Mastery is already a mobile spec. It's insane, guys. This is just gonna make Beast Mastery not like you won't be able to stop him. If he has Kindred Beast post haste, you won't be able to snare him. You won't be able to just keep him in place, root him. It doesn't matter. They will be after your ass. Huge. Huge. Very attractive. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I can see this being great in BGs against Frost Death Knights, Frost Mages, any spec that you go against that holds you back or slows you down a lot. Huge. All right, you're gonna be like that warrior, a ranged warrior right here. Kindred Beast with, where is that shit? With Wild Kingdom, definitely could be interesting. We'll see how it plays out. in 9.1. I personally don't play Beast Mastery, so I can't like really say what is gonna be so good at, but very huge. The Beast Within. Bestial Wrath inspires you and all nearby allied pets, increasing attack speed by 10%, providing immunity to fear and horror effects. Pretty good. I remember Bestial Wrath being making you immune to fear. I guess that wasn't a thing anymore, and this just allows you to have fear immunity and increase damage by 10%. Awesome. I can't say that that's a bad change. Now we have options, which I love because we didn't have options before. Huge, huge. And then Marksmanship Hunters get consecutive concussion, which is a stun. Finally, a built-in into the spec stun. Now, while this is attractive, you can do many things. Definitely check out my past video talking about this, where I show what you can do with it. I do feel that in arenas, this is not going to be attractive, but we also get a PvP trinket that stuns the target. It's a casted ability. You cast it, and it stuns the target for, I believe, it's 4 seconds as well, if not 5. Very, very nice. BGs, this is going to be huge. I can see synergy with consecutive concussion. I can see clearly now. So builds with steady focus and consecutive concussion, it just makes sense. All right, by the time you cast your second steady shot, by the time you cast your second steady shot, you will have steady focus, increase haste, and you'll be able to deal damage faster or have an extra global in your rotation while doing your burst, and the target is stunned. Now, one thing I want to say is that there is no cooldown to the amount of times you can stun, but stuns have a diminishing return. So keep in mind diminishing returns. And one thing that's great is that you can stun one target. If you're in a BG, you can stun one target, you can stun the next target, you can just keep stunning whoever you like. There is no cooldown to this. The only issue is that you become a utility spec versus a complete, because all your globals is going to be steady shot. All right, 3 globals for steady shot. That's a lot. You can fit so much stronger shit instead of a steady shot. So just keep that in mind, that your globals is just gonna be filled with steady shots versus powerful abilities like aim shot, rapid fire, and all that type of shit. One thing to note, like I said in the past video, is that you can weave abilities between steady shots, but even then, it's kind of risky because the target can just outrange you, get out of line of sight, versus just you doing 3 steady focus or 3 steady shots back to back to back. We'll see how it plays out. It is interesting. I am a fan of having a stun. I just don't know if the way they put it in there is the way to go. And it seems like that's it. I'll make another video about the covenants specifically, because they're massive. They're massive changes, guys. It's gonna be so nice to see the type of stuff that they introduced. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I can't wait for this patch to drop. I'm pretty sure that while everybody's talking about all types of different theories and conspiracies about Blizzard and 9.1, in my honest opinion, I feel that 1, COVID, and 2, most importantly, BC. All right, I think it's dumb for them to not tell people what's going on, but I also understand that people are enjoying Burning Crusade. People are really enjoying Burning Crusade, and they should have one game to pay attention to instead of. But that's just my theory. That's just an extra theory to add. I have a feeling that it's gonna be out within the next 2 weeks, or at least an announcement. And yeah, and here's to hoping. Guys, thank you for joining me and going over these changes for the 9.1. I'm excited. I hope you guys are as well. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.